Hello, my name is Ava and I am an intern for SkoolMentor. Today I'm interviewing Mr. Lee, who is one of our amazing mentors for the SkoolMentor Remote Research Program. So Mr. Lee, can you tell me a little bit about your background and the work that you do currently?
Sure. So I am just a first year graduate student at Oxford studying computational and evolutionary virology and just finished college a few months ago.
Okay, so I see that you're also doing graduate school now. Where's your graduate school at?
So right now I am at the University of Oxford in their Department of Medicine right now as a researcher on my doctorate in philosophy.
Yeah, and I heard your predicament is not the best. You're online right now, right?
Exactly. So I'm working remotely still in the United States, planning on going over in a year. But
Okay.
for me, it's been pretty good actually, in the sense that since I'm computational, where I am doesn't make a difference, and so the pandemic has not had a huge impact on my ability to do research, which I'm very thankful for as a computational scientist.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very exciting for you and you're excited too, but it's very good that you can still proceed as planned right now. So which college did you go to for your undergrad?
For undergrad, I went to Harvard and studied computer science as well as evolutionary biology as a secondary field.
Mhm. And how would you say you prepared for that?
Preparing for that was mostly spent doing research. I did computational research and started out studying viruses and then learned to program and started programming to analyze viruses. I started a company in high school that got a little bit of traction and proceeded to sort of combine the interests of computers and virology during college and beyond.
Right. So when would you say you really started to prepare for college and really just know what you want, like know what you want to do and strive to really go to the college you want? Like when did you start that out?
So I worked backwards from knowing what I wanted. So like I knew that, for example, for Harvard, you needed to have good SAT scores, good GPA, and those are given. And then you need to do sort of something on top of that. And so I worked hard on school and taking and test taking, but then from there it was really focusing on doing whatever I was interested in, and I'd been interested in viruses since middle school. So I got involved in the science fair and did independent science research all throughout high school, and then in college I continued doing independent science research. So it's been a long time of doing research.
Hmm. So using that I don't know, using that background, what projects did your school mentors work on under you?
So they worked on projects that were broadly pretty similar to the sorts of things I was actually interested in high school, and that was sort of one of the things I made sure to do, was to make sure that that I was aiming the project to something that I could have done, say, 4 or 5 years ago when I was in high school. And so the projects we worked on were projects that usually that were they were all computational and focused, say, on designing a new algorithm to analyze a DNA sequence, or or using an existing algorithm or to analyze, say, a coronavirus genome. And so either methods development or applying new methods to existing data.
Wow, so that's really interesting. And I think also the fact that you're really on the relatively young side for these students to relate to, and they could see themselves like what you are today, I think is really cool, really interesting. So, can you share some of the accomplishments your students had after completing their projects with you under your mentorship?
Sure. So one of my students and I presented a poster at one of the premier computational biology projects. The student and I sort of designed a new method to visualize DNA sequences. And from there, we tested it, demonstrated that it worked, and presented that at one of the major conferences, which was a big accomplishment. Another student and I are right now in the final stages of writing a paper, which will be going to the top journal in the field of computational biology and biochemistry. So, and another student and I are also working in the final stages of finishing up a paper on our studies of the coronavirus genome. So we have quite a few projects that are coming to fruition. And another student also worked on this paper. I should mention two students worked on the paper that's going to the top tier journal. So we've got, so of the 5 students, I had 4 of them or have papers that are either done or going in.
Wow, that is really impressive. And so, what range of grades are your students in?
So the youngest one had just finished his first year of high school, and he was very productive. He had just learned a program and is now working on the cutting edge of web technology development. And the oldest one was 1 year or 2 years younger than me, so a sophomore in college.
Wow. So yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm sure he aspires to be in graduate school like you. So that's really cool for him to see, hey, a year or two down the line, I could be just like you.
Exactly, and I could help with things like graduate applications, which I had just finished over the last year now.
Yeah. So we know that you taught your students a lot, but would you say working with these students taught you anything or changed your outlook?
Definitely. So it changed my outlook into sort of like they did much more than I could have expected them to do. And we're so independent that it definitely like made me look on the students as they're so impressed with their capabilities now that I'm continuing to work with them just as collaborators, that they're teaching me new things now. And I love it.
Yeah. So what do you think of the School Mentor Remote Research Program?
So I think it was a great opportunity and something that I wish I had been able to participate in, because the students are just able to do so much, and when sort of pointed in the right direction, they can sort of go on their own and make really big improvements to the state of the art and new discoveries.
Hmm. So what advice would you give high school and college students who are preparing for college and career?
So if your goal is to become a scientist, then do science. And if your goal is to say go into business, do business. So if your goal is to say achieve a research position, then do as much research as you can, and that can be through a program like SkoolMentor. It can be through an on-campus position if you're in college. It could be independent, and if you're and then if you want to do research but you don't know what research to do, finding a mentor is the best way to do it. So if you say I want to do research, but you sort of think, well, I don't know what to research next, then finding a question and finding someone who could help you answer that question is the way to go.
So it sounds like you have two kind of more generalized paths that you kind of put together. Would you recommend that for everyone or just have it one path?
So I would say it all depends on what your interests are. That if you're interested in, say, becoming a programmer, then the way to become a programmer is by programming. But if your interested goal is to be a researcher, then doing research is the way to do it. So if you're interested in combining the two, then doing programming for research is the best way to do it. And it all comes down on to what your goals are, and finding people who've achieved your goals and seeing what they did, and working backwards from there.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you today. I want to thank you, Mr. Lee, on behalf of School Mentor for your time and answering our questions. Thank you.
Thanks.